Picture this. You walk through a hospital's sliding doors, and before you've checked in, before you've found the right floor, before you've said a single word, your body already knows where you are. Your stomach tightens, your shoulders go up, something shifts. Not because of anything you saw, because of something you smelled. That hospital smell is one of the most universally recognized scents on Earth. Almost everyone reacts to it. Almost nobody can explain exactly what it is. Today we're going deep into the surprisingly deliberate chemistry behind that clinical scent, where it came from, how it was engineered, and why your brain responds to it before your conscious mind even catches up. Let's start at the beginning. Hospitals haven't always smelled like this. For most of human history, they smelled like the opposite. Before the germ theory of disease was accepted in the late 1800s, hospitals were places where infections spread freely. Wards were overcrowded, ventilation was poor, the smell was one of decay, sweat, and death. Florence Nightingale, the founder of modern nursing, was so disturbed by hospital odors during the Crimean War that she became obsessed with ventilation and sanitation, not because she fully understood germ theory, but because she instinctively connected bad smells with bad outcomes. She was right for the wrong scientific reasons. The smell wasn't causing the deaths, but the conditions creating the smell were. Everything changed in 1865 when a British surgeon named Joseph Lister read Louis Pasteur's work on bacteria and made a leap that transformed medicine. If invisible organisms were causing infection, then killing those organisms before they entered a wound could save lives. Lister began soaking surgical instruments and spraying operating theaters with carbolic acid. It worked. Surgical death rates dropped dramatically, and for the first time, a hospital began to smell like chemicals instead of decay. That sharp, medicinal scent became a signal not of sickness, but of science fighting back. The smell of the modern hospital was born in that moment. Now let's look at what you're actually smelling today. The dominant note in most modern hospitals is a compound called 2-phenoxyethanol. It's the base chemical in many contemporary disinfectants, slightly sweet, faintly floral, sitting right at the edge of pleasant and unsettling. Before that became standard, for most of the 20th century, the defining hospital smell was isopropyl alcohol. Sharp, immediate, completely unmistakable. Hospitals used it for everything: cleaning skin before injections, sterilizing surfaces, wiping down equipment. One whiff and your brain filed it permanently under danger and needles. Disinfectants are only part of the story. The full hospital smell is a layered cocktail of compounds, each one telling a different part of the story. Underneath the antiseptics sits a faint metallic edge, the iron in blood, present even in trace amounts that your nose detects before your eyes do. Above it floats the sharp ammonia note of certain medications and biological processes. In surgical wards, there's the distinctive sweet note of chlorhexidine, the pink antiseptic scrub used before operations. In oncology units, chemotherapy drugs add their own sharp, acrid signature. In the pharmacy, the smell shifts entirely: powdery, dry, faintly synthetic. Each department has its own chemical fingerprint, but your brain collapses all of it into a single category: hospital. One word, one reaction: immediate. Here's where it gets interesting. That smell isn't accidental, it's engineered. Hospital administrators, infection control specialists, and even behavioral scientists are involved in the selection of cleaning products, and scent is part of that decision. A hospital that smells strongly of disinfectant communicates cleanliness to every patient and family member who walks through the door. Research has consistently shown that patients rate hospitals with a stronger clinical scent as more trustworthy and more competent, even when the actual hygiene levels between hospitals are identical. The smell is doing the same work as the spotless floors, the pressed uniforms, the gleaming equipment. It's communicating safety before a single word is spoken. It is, in the most literal sense, a form of institutional branding done entirely through chemistry. But if this smell signals safety and cleanliness, why does it trigger anxiety in so many people? Why do those sliding doors open and immediately tighten your chest? This is where the neuroscience becomes genuinely fascinating. Your olfactory system, your sense of smell, is the only sense that bypasses the brain's rational processing relay entirely. Every other sense, sight, sound, touch, taste, routes through the thalamus before reaching the emotional centers of the brain. Smell doesn't wait. It connects directly and immediately to the amygdala, the brain's threat detection system, and to the hippocampus, the center of long-term memory. The result is that smell-triggered memories are faster, more vivid, and more emotionally loaded than memories triggered by any other sense. For most people, the first time they encountered that hospital scent, something frightening was happening. A childhood injury, a sick parent, an emergency visit in the middle of the night. The brain in that moment tagged the smell as a warning signal and stored it with the full emotional weight of that experience. Now, every subsequent encounter with that smell doesn't just remind you of a hospital, it partially re-triggers the original emotional state. The anxiety you feel walking into a hospital isn't a reaction to the smell itself. It's a memory that was written in chemistry years ago and is now being read back to you whether you want it to or not. Is increasingly taken seriously in hospital design. A new field sits at the intersection of environmental psychology, neuroscience, and architecture, and its practitioners are redesigning what hospitals smell like from the ground up. Some hospitals now pipe carefully selected ambient scents through their ventilation systems. Lavender in waiting rooms, shown in clinical trials to reduce patient anxiety. Citrus notes in recovery wards, associated with alertness and mild positive affect. Cedar and sandalwood in palliative care units, chosen for their grounding, calming properties. The goal isn't to eliminate the disinfectant smell. The goal is to layer something human on top of something clinical. To tell your amygdala two things at once. This place is clean, and this place is safe. The science is still developing, but the underlying insight is simple and profound. Smell doesn't just describe an environment, it shapes how you feel inside it. It alters your trust, your anxiety, your pain perception, and your sense of time. Hospitals have known this instinctively since Joseph Lister first filled an operating theater with carbolic acid and watched infection rates fall. They just didn't always have the neuroscience to explain why it worked. So the next time those sliding doors open and that smell hits you, you're not just entering a building, you're triggering a chemical memory your brain has been storing for years. The hospital isn't just clean, it's telling you it's clean in the oldest language your brain knows. And somewhere underneath that, your amygdala is quietly remembering every reason it ever had to be afraid. If this surprised you, hit the like button and subscribe for more hidden stories behind the everyday world around you. Because sometimes the most familiar things carry the most extraordinary science.